and welcome back to another episode of Modular Modcast. My name's Tim Held. I'm really excited to bring you this episode with Tom and Cindy, the founders of Patchwerks. As you've probably seen online, Patchwerks is having a rough go at it right now, and they need our help, and we're going to talk all about that in this episode, so please stick around for that. But before we get into this episode, let's talk about modules. So you know I got the ES9 from Expert Sleepers a while ago. I'm so excited that they are now a sponsor. The ES9 has completely changed the way that I approach my tracking of modular stuff, and we're going to go over that in more detail here in a moment. You know, it's an audio interface. You can send and receive audio and CV signals between your DAW and your modular system, so that's been really, really helpful to just get everything nice and in time. If I'm playing like a guitar song along to a click track in my DAW, and then I want to have some like weird side chainy pulsey stuff going on here, I can just send the clock right out of Bitwig into the ES9 and then into anything else that I want. It's an extraordinarily robust module, and you can configure it yourself, but I think right out of the box it works exactly how I want it to. You know, just inputs, outputs, you just set up your DAW to communicate with it in the way that you like, and you're off to the races. And then next up, I got the Chord Pilot and Polycinematic from Knobula. So if you've been in a modular long enough, you know that there are a lot of chord modules out there, and they all have their own unique functionality and quirks. But I have to say, like, if you want to just take a MIDI controller and plug it directly into a module and play chords and arpeggios, then the Polycinematic and Chord Pilot, like, together are absolutely wonderful. So I haven't cracked the manuals open yet, but you know how I like to do. I like to see how far I can get with a module before I need the manual, and so far it's really intuitive. It's super, super fun, great tones and textures. The Polycinematic has a built-in filter and envelope, a bunch of different modes for your waveforms and everything, so it's super, super fun. And I think next week I'm going to show you how I use the Ghostwriter from Recovery Effects. It's a guitar pedal that turns your guitar signal into MIDI signals. I'm going to use that to play the Chord Pilot and Polycinematic, so stay tuned for that. I'm also using the 4MS shaped dual envelope and VCA, as well as the percussion interface and expander, so I can get my guitar into the modular system. And I'm splitting the guitar signal, so I'm running one of those connections into the OTA filter from AI Synthesis, and then the others are going into the Basal from Bastel. And rather than use Basal, you know, like a traditional delay, which it can do very well, it also can just be a really, really fun effects processor. So I did kind of this bit crushy thing, but we'll get into that. Then I used the Aikido from Bastel, which is like a VCA mixer with some side chaining capabilities, which is pretty much in every single patch I use since I got it, and I've had it for about 6 months or more. And you'll see why I like it so much when we get into this example. And then finally, Earthquaker sent me the Wave Transformer, which is their new oscillator, and I really haven't scratched the surface with this yet, mostly just plugged it in for, you know, the piece that I put onto this track we're about to look at, but just messing with it, you know, in that short amount of time, I can already tell that you can get some really, really cool, rich textures, lots of really cool modulation options. So yeah, why don't we just hop in to a little bit of a walkthrough of this track and hear some of the sounds, and then we'll get into our episode. So I thought the best way to talk about these new modules from the new sponsors was to just show you how I've been using them. And I think going forward, this may be how I do this, because as you know, I have struggled with where my place is in the demo making arena, and it's just really not my thing. So I thought I'd kill two stones with one bird and you know, start demoing some of these tracks that I'm writing and use the new stuff on them. So what I'm going to do is kind of just walk you through some of this stuff. Look at how much stuff is here. This is very strange. I don't know that I've ever really like shared one of my like sessions like this publicly, and I feel a little like, ooh, I feel like I'm going to be judged. So this is a track I've been working on last couple days, and I'm gonna show you the parts. Not all of it, don't worry. I know that's a lot of stuff there. We're not gonna go through all of it, but I just want to show you the choice nugs, if you will. And at the end of the episode, I will play the entire track. It's nowhere near done. I'm going to actually rearrange like its whole structure and everything. But this is how I write. I tend to just kind of lay down. For instance, I'll find like just a drum loop in my bin. So I thought that one would be fun to write too, and then I added my own drums to it, so together sounds like this. So my approach to guitar and modular has been, using the 4MS percussion interface and expander, because it has a 1/4 inch in, and I can, generate gates and envelopes off of my guitar signal, and also the board brain injector, same type of thing, but this one actually has like an amp simulator on it, so that's really good for some really crunchy stuff. So 7, 8, and 9, track 7, 8, 9, these are all one take, but I have the signal just split in different ways. So the first guitar sounds like this. I should probably put on my headphones so I can talk about this. So that kind of wah-wah pedal sound is coming from the envelopes generated by the percussion interface, and then also triggering the shaped dual envelope and VCA, all from 4MS to control the LPG from AI synthesis. I really wanted to use the basal delay in a way that wasn't delay, because this thing is so cool and expansive. So I actually got this really cool like bit crushy kind of thing. I'll show you in a second. But the kind of at the heart of this whole guitar going through modular for this particular piece is the Aikido from Basel, which is a VCA / mixer that has a bunch of really cool side chaining options. And so I like to get really, have one come up as the others go down and have some really cool stereo stuff going. But before I get into any of that, here is the acoustic guitar track. So this has the basal. You can hear that like that cool like ring, ring. I'm just sending an envelope generated from my guitar into the actual delay time / volt per octave. So it's giving this really cool jerky sound. But let's go check out this section here with the electric guitar going through the Aikido and the basal. So really bit crushy, so I'll just solo those real quick. So you hear that, it's almost like it's breathing. What the Aikido's doing, bringing the left and right guitars kind of in and out in that breathing way, while I think that is very cool, it doesn't sound quite right without, a little thickening up with just some standard guitar. So here I'm using one of my new guitars on it. But yeah, I really like the sound that I got out of the basal for these guitars right here. Let's check out another part. Welcoming me into this beautiful shop that I have spent not too much time in, but a lot of time in. It's one of my favorite places.
Thanks, Tim. Yeah, glad to have you here.
Yeah, it's nice to be back.
It's always, it sucks that it takes something like this for us three to be able to sit down and hang out for an hour and not just like in passing or something or like at an event. But I'm glad that I'm getting to hang with you guys because it's been a while. It's been
Yeah,
way
it
too
has.
long.
It has.
Yeah.
I know we're all busy with all kinds of different stuff now.
Yeah.
So yeah, but we're making it happen right now.
Yeah, right now. And I can edit anything out, so don't worry about that. I don't really know how to start this one. It's kind of a sensitive and not so good reason that we are kind of gathering here right now.
Well, I think it's a great reason. I think it's a great reason to pull us together, and I think what you're referring to is our GoFundMe campaign. Just so everyone knows, the listeners know, Patchwerks has had a rough 18 months, we'd say.
Yeah.
And we wound up talking over and over and over about what we can do to get Patchwerks into a good place. And between Cindy, Nick, our manager, and us, we think we have that plan. But we can't do it alone.
Yeah.
So that's why we're asking the community for help. And that was an agonizing decision.
Oh, I'm sure.
We can go into that if you want, but it wasn't taken lightly at all. But yeah, no, I mean, so many people have told us how much they love Patchwerks, and we love Patchwerks, obviously.
Yeah.
So, we wanted to give the community a chance to help us survive.
Prove it. Yeah.
You know,
Give them
because the alternative would have been maybe just to shut the doors.
Right.
And that's really where the decision came down to. Do we want to try something out of the ordinary or not? And we decided to try it.
I'm personally very happy that you did. Just before, leading into this, and then I mentioned it on last week's episode, and that episode was put out late because I kept wanting to make sure that I was doing right by you guys and putting in the work that I wanted to cut together almost this little mini doc. But then every time I started talking about it, I can't speak about stuff like this without it sounding like, come on, dude, this is Hallmark shit. It's so oozy, but so many things have, contributed to me being able to do this show and get the people that I've, had on as guests and the confidence to start it. And Patchwerks, and you guys in particular, you too, it can't be overstated. It can't be overstated how, I don't know if, obviously I wouldn't be right here in this room without you guys, but I don't know if I would have had, Cindy was the first guest.
Yes,
ever.
That's right. Yeah.
And I think one of the reasons for that is just how much of a hub you became, the star that our community has. When I was, I had known you guys because I happened to bug Andy enough to convince him to let me do a Monster Planet. And so I knew people here and there in the Seattle scene, but once you guys got going with all the events and, even before you had a space doing the, the pop-ups and stuff, the meetups.
Yeah.
It just and for me, of course it was new. Sorry, I'm talking so much right now, but
That's okay.
No, I'd love to hear your perspective on it all.
Yeah.
I'm trying, I was thinking about it all on the drive up here, and I didn't really come to any good conclusions that I felt were monumental, but I actually think I'm kind of on a roll here. So no, I think
let's keep it going.
Yeah. I think oh, did I just lose it? Well, okay, so yeah, when I first started getting into modular, it was obviously very exciting for me, so that has an influence on my perspective of everything. But I don't think it was just my personal excitement. It was, you guys, we all kind of congealed into this thing, and I've got such good friends out of it, lifelong friends that I wouldn't have met without you guys, so it's just, I guess this is all me trying to say it's so much more than a retail space. And that's why I'm so happy that you guys decided to, do the campaign, make it public, like, hey, we need your help.
Right.
Because it'd be one thing if you guys were just, it was just a shop, but it's like I said, like, when I think of Patchwerks, like, the shop is just a part of it, so.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was by design.
Mm-hmm.
We started, for those of your listeners who don't know our story, we started by wanting to create a place for musicians, tinkerers, synthesizer designers, and just people in this world to come together, to exchange ideas, to meet each other. And yeah, we were excited about the new Renaissance and instruments as well, but there's no place to get them in Washington and in the Seattle area. I mean, Control Voltage down in Portland is great, and we love that store. Love Jason, and we were going there, but we thought, hey, Seattle needs something. Yeah, and I agree. Like, I know Cindy and I both have met all kinds of amazing people, through the works that everyone's done. I mean, here in the showroom, we have people come and perform every month, which is great. So many artists have come through, and for some of them, we've seen and helped with their journey, right? From zero to performing on a stage. And that gives us so much gratitude.
I hadn't even thought of that, but I imagine that because, how long has Patchwerks been a thing? Like 7 years?
It's been 7 years since we opened, yeah.
Okay. So I mean, if somebody was coming into the first shop then and they stuck with it, like, they might be kind of a monster now, like a badass. That's really cool. I hadn't even thought of that perspective.
But yeah, I mean, it's a little out of the ordinary for a for-profit business to go do a GoFundMe campaign, and we recognize that. And because of what you just said about what Patchwerks is, it's a place for education, it's a place for community, and it's a retail store. That reason is one of them that pushed us to reconsider, like, what it might mean to ask for help. We know there are people out there who see it as weird, and that's fine.
Yeah, they don't have to donate, and it's fine. Yeah.
No, and I mean, there's so many opinions out there. I mean, Patchwerks has always been a place where everyone is welcome. We say that a lot, and we stick by that. Sometimes that means including in the umbrella, like, people we don't personally agree with. Anyway, it's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, coming back to the reason behind the campaign, if it weren't for the community part, we probably would not have done it.
Right. Yeah.
Yes, I agree with that completely. And I think if people see us only as a retail store, then I can understand the idea of a GoFundMe might strike people as a little bit unusual, or why are they doing this? It's an odd thing to do, but the retail aspect of Patchwerks is really just one piece of, a much larger whole.
Yeah.
And those other pieces are really, we don't want to lose that. Nobody wants to lose that in this community.
No.
So if this can help us maintain this physical space as a meeting place, as an event space, if it allows us to continue to do events like Velocity, if it allows us to keep the retail side running so that the other pieces can be supported and can continue, that's really, I think, where the motivation came for the idea. But yeah, it's definitely, I can understand people seeing that and not knowing much about our business model or our past or what role we play in the community here in Seattle. So yeah, it's definitely just one piece of a much bigger picture.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't want to totally just like discount the, I obviously we really. Somebody trying to get in the front door?
It's just locked. They probably think that we're open.
Oh. Are they out there? What the hell? I don't want to totally like, not say that there's like, a good reason to want to save, the retail side of things too, because, not just for, synth instruments or just instruments, but like mom and pop shops are disappearing. Like, and I've been into like Best Buy and Guitar Center recently when it's like I need something today for this project, and I don't know if you've been into those kind of stores lately, but they're in shambles. There's like emptiness and there's boxes on the ground. It looks fucking crazy because everything's just going online, which sure it's convenient, but when we're talking about stuff like this that is, expensive, it's an expensive hobby. It's good to maybe try to get some hands-on experience with stuff too, especially like if you're taking a class here. Well, when you walk into that classroom, this looks like a mysterious, like alien world. But hopefully, when you come out, you can actually get some hands-on with just having like that lesson's fresh in your head, like.
Yeah.
So I think there's definitely like we want to save that aspect of it too, because I like just driving up to a part of town and walking around and seeing what kind of cool shops are around, and I don't know. And it takes people like you with this kind of drive and love for a community to keep something like this going, because it's obviously not set and forget,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I totally agree. I personally love to be able to come and just try out the new modules, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or feel the action of the new Yamaha montage or whatever it is. Or to hear the big, rich oscillators of the sequential trigon. I mean, to me, there's nothing better than that. And that just captures our joy for the instruments,
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're really aiming to retain that part of it, to have a showroom. People can come, locally visit. But also, we do get a lot of people from out of town when they're in Seattle. They come in and say, hey, I just had to check it out, which is really awesome.
Yeah.
We love this building, but it's too big for us. That's one of the main issues that we had. And, it's kind of a long story, but in our last place, which, we know that
insane the difference from that place to this place.
Yeah. Yeah, what happened was, it's worth telling the story, I think, just so, people know. So we operated in that small place for about 5 years, is that right?
And it was a house, right? It was a house that was converted to like business.
That's right. Yeah.
Essentially, yeah, in a very old building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I loved it. It had charm, but it was definitely like.
Well, it had issues too.
It was DIY ramshackle.
There was no climate control at all. You couldn't run the tea kettle and the synths at the same time. I mean, it's got problems.
Yeah.
But we started our business there, and we operated there successfully for 5 years. And then our landlord, with almost no notice, required that we leave. So that set in motion a search to find our next building.
I remember that. You guys were scrambling and looking all over the place. And
I mean, we basically had 30 days to find a new building.
Yeah.
Because our old building, the plan was to tear it down, for a redevelopment. So we're really under the gun. That was super stressful. And this building that we found actually just exceeded our budget. We had set a range of what we, projected we could afford. And this place was, I think it was just over that.
Yeah, it was really close to the upper limit.
So already, we were kind of taking a big risk. And we looked at all kinds of other places, and there was nothing at the time.
Yeah, we did look at a lot of other places.
I remember you having a few that you even were interested in, but like they were just gone. Like you couldn't get them or something like. I mean, I may be misremembering. It was a while ago, but
there was a lot of just weird commercial spaces that wouldn't work.
Yeah.
This one was perfect because it had a warehouse. It was already a showroom. Like we didn't have to do any build out to this showroom. Really, we didn't paint it. So it really fit the bill, and it was available. We actually got a really good deal per square foot on this building, given the neighborhood where it is.
Yeah.
So, also, the challenge of moving the business between Eastlake, our prior location, and this one was huge. And we did it all from the day we were notified we needed to leave Eastlake to opening the doors here in 8 weeks.
That's crazy.
And we were only closed, I think, 2 days?
2 days. We closed for the move for 2 days. And we were painting in here just a few hours before we opened the doors to the public on the first day. So
So it was a bad dash, and our staff was awesome. I mean, everybody was painting, vacuuming.
That's so cool.
It was a real team effort.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, we got into this building, and you know, in 2021, the business was still going gangbusters, you know.
I was gonna say it was a different time, and we like.
It was a different time. You know, a lot of people were still either not working or they're working from home. You know, there's a lot more just home activity. So people were investing in, I need to get some new speakers, or I've always wanted an OP1. I'm going to use this time to buy one, learn it, and make an album, you know. So a lot of that business was still high for us, you know, a lot of demand during that first year, 2021, because we moved in here July 2021.
Yep.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. You know, and because of all the conditions of COVID, so there's like, you know, the people being shut in, there was extra unemployment. So if you happen to get laid off, the government was giving you like a stipend on top of unemployment. And then there was government stimulus that went for everyone too. So those are great things. They kept the economy rolling during an unprecedented pandemic, you know, in modern times. So we always knew that that would end, right? And the business would contract some amount. So we did consider that.
I think it contracted way more than anybody was expecting, though.
Yeah,
like
it's
from
like
all the
for
manufacturers that I've talked to over, you know, throughout the whole thing. Yeah, like, you know.
And that's still happening.
For sure.
It's not over yet.
Yeah.
So.
No, it's not over yet. And, you know, we expected to see consolidation in the marketplace. Some manufacturers have already started that. You know, in the retail landscape, you know, like, you know, Patchwerks is, you know, part of that right now. You know, hopefully we dig ourselves out and we have a good plan for that. But yeah, you know, the building is just too big for us, even as great as it is. And we're, you know, Cindy's run our numbers, and you know, at least last time, if we were to be able to right size our business to that, you know, smaller, maybe a little bit bigger than the Synth Shack, but not as giant as this. It would work again.
Yeah, for sure. So, I have no doubt about that. And so here's where I pitched you guys Tacoma. Because Tacoma, that was half a joke, but of course I would love it. But I mean, that would be so far for you.
It would be a tough drive for me because I'm already commuting.
You're so far from here.
So.
Well, time-wise, anyways.
Yeah.
Like,
but I love Tacoma.
Tacoma's rad.
And it's a great community.
I would have cried if you would have told me 3 years ago that I was moving to Tacoma, but now I prefer it, I think.
Yeah.
Tacoma's nice, and I mean, it's still affordable, and a lot of artists have moved down there.
And I don't think that's going to be the case for that much longer. So yeah.
It's still affordable, do you think?
Compared to here, yeah. But I'm not sure. Yeah, I mean, just we're literally running out of space here. You know, like like living in Tacoma, decent sized city. Wherever I go, I can find parking. Saturday night, prime time, wherever it is. Like maybe I'll walk a block. But I'm driving up here, and it's like Sunday, and I'll get parking. I was just going to Fremont and mess around a little bit before, and it took me like 15 minutes, and I was like, oh yeah, fuck. Anyways, that was supposed to be mostly a joke because I want to get you guys, I want to try to just bring everybody down to me because I'm trying to preach and spread the gospel of Tacoma. But
yeah, well, we're looking at spaces all over the place, and you know, we'd rather survive than be like sticklers on neighborhood. So
Yeah.
you know,
Yep.
all the options are on the table for
Yeah.
us right now.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, this is a prime location. This is like a major thoroughfare in a really like, popular, nice part of Seattle. Like the last shop was a bit of a weird, like it was such a
Right
it was
under the freeway.
and it was like to get to it is like you can't just pop over. Like it was a whole
Yeah.
like it's just like I've mentioned it a lot on the show, but like the physical geography of Seattle is so weird because of our different bodies of water and
Yeah.
hills and everything, and it's like all these neighborhoods are just kind of their own kind of cloistered little things, and which it was kind of cool like to go over. Like I don't even think I'd ever been to that part of Seattle before. I was like, what the fuck is this like weird like under the bridge thing? But yeah.
Yeah, we had such good times there. I know,
yeah.
we're wistful for that place, and I mean, it had its flaws, but it was really special. And yeah, I mean, we can get back to something like that. It'd be great.
Yeah. I was going through
Maybe with some heat and air conditioning.
Yeah.
And reliable electricity would be great
you
too.
might need that for the gears here. Well, also just really quick, I know you've told the story, on this show and other places throughout, but for anybody who is maybe new, you guys were friends
Yes.
for a long time, but then hadn't. Well, I'll let you tell the story. I just love like the idea of how you guys decided
You want the
to
origin
start
story?
this. The
Yeah.
origin story, yeah.
Okay. Well, do you want to tell it this time?
Yeah, so we first met, both of us moved to Seattle around the same time in the mid-90s and became friends through synthesizers and music and, we're friends all these years. And then independently, we both decided to attend NAMM in 2015 and ran into each other on the floor at NAMM and was one of those, hey, what are you doing here? Hey, what are you doing here? And we realized that both of us were on the same secret mission to explore the idea that had been in both of our minds of starting some kind of synthesizer shop in Seattle, because we didn't have one here, and it was something that we both independently really, thought was a good idea, and we're at a point in our lives where that we wanted to really start to spend our days doing work that we believed in. We've both been working in biotech in my case and tech in Tom's case for many years, and decided it's time to make a change. So anyway, out of that chance meeting, Patchwerks as an entity really came out of that, and we started doing meetups in 2016, I think, in the fall. Or maybe it was
I think it was end of 15 we did our
end
first
of 15,
one.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the actual shop opened up in November of 2016. So, yeah. And, we had done these meetups. We knew that there was a good interest and a good community kind of really wanting to coalesce and form around a central place. But at the time, other than there's the club scene and the techno community, but what if you're just someone who doesn't really go to bars or clubs? And there were all these synthesizer enthusiasts, all different ages, and everybody would come to the meetups and get together, and we just had there was so much gratitude, and people were so thankful to have a meeting place and to not have to go to a club or a bar and necessarily restrict it to that, because electronic music is a pretty big umbrella. It covers so many different subcultures and scenes and styles of music, and we were just opening up our community to everybody, and it's amazing the sort of synergies that have come out of that idea over the years. And so watching that community build, we started doing more events at our shop. We had a very small event space, as you recall, with a kitchen and kind of along one side of it, and it was also our shipping and receiving area, and we made it work. Moving here, we now have like a proper event space that has just been wonderful. I'm currently teaching almost every Saturday teaching classes in that space, and we've had our showroom sessions going monthly in that space, and a number of other workshops and events, and it is really nice to have that, you know, aspect of things. It really helps keep that community going.
Mm-hmm.
And we're still doing synth meetups. We do, you know, 2 or 3 of those a year. Probably start doing more of those in the future. So yeah, it's really been great to watch not just the retail side of the business grow, but also the event side, and, you know, doing things like Velocity was really a logical next step for us at that time, and yeah, so that's really how we got to be where we're at this point. So
that's such a good point too, going back to you bringing up like the, you know, electronic, at least the technology, you know, electronic music technology, it's used by such a swath of different, you know, types of artists, and, you know, that's, I think maybe another reason why you don't get as much of like this like rock star ego kind of stuff that I've experienced in every other music scene I've ever been in my life. And yeah, and it's just like it allows you to like meet, like I've met people that I wouldn't have otherwise met, and then, you know, became buds with because of this space, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Me too. I mean, one of the things I was going to say, and kind of in response to the kind of club world things, a lot of those scenes, you know, don't intermix with other kinds of people. You know, like some
totally
do, right?
Yeah.
But some are like,
well,
and it's
even
fine.
within electronic music, it's like
exactly.
techno and yeah.
So, you know, we like being a place where that does happen. You know, and, you know, say we do a workshop on a Kai MPC, you know, well, Seattle's got a pretty rich local hip-hop scene and lo-fi, you know, music, so we'll get people like that coming in. We'll get people coming in who want to, you know, create the American songbook, you know, and do it on an MPC. We'll get, you know, a lot of techno producers, house producers, just all over the place. And not only that, it's young people, it's people my age, it's people older than me. You know, it's male, female, trans, it's, you know, everything. And that's one of the things we're the most proud of for Patchwerks, to be a place like that.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I got a little starstruck it was a couple months ago I was here, and I didn't have the nerve to go say something, but like I was leaving, and as I'm leaving, David Bazan from Pedro the Lion walked in here, and I was like, what? I was really, like, I love Pedro the Lion, and I really like his solo stuff too, and I just wanted to come in just like, what are you getting here? Because like it could be studio monitors, but I was like, are you getting like, is there going to be a David Bazan like electronic project or something? You know, like, so it's. I don't know why I brought that up.
No, I'm just redoing my cables.
Yeah, right, yeah. But David, if you're listening, would love to chat with you.
Yeah, that's been cool too. I mean, we maintain the privacy of our clientele, but you know, for some of our, I know you too, Cindy, actually. So for some of our heroes to like be purchasing things from Patchwerks,
that's pretty cool.
You know, when we see on our digital order system, we see the name of, you know, XYZ person whose music I grew up listening to every day. I just think, wow, that's amazing.
It's pretty cool.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, we've had Oscar winners in here. We've had, you know, famous musicians in here. So that's great too. You know, they see the value in it too. Sometimes we'll kind of look at those names and think, is that right? You know?
Yeah, right. Oh, totally. Well, and like I know I'm kind of beating a dead horse here, but it's another, like, kind of just to reinforce this, the importance. Like, I think, you know, there was definitely there's been a number of surges with, you know, Euro rack and modular becoming popular, and that's, you know, around when you guys were starting up and I was starting the podcast, that was kind of like one of the more recent surges. And, you know, like Portland, you think of Portland, LA, and like maybe, I don't know, maybe New York as like the places that would have, in Austin, you know, those were like the only, like, but because of you guys, you know, like like I feel like that you were the magnet, and you were the gravitational pull to pull in the Floating by Podular Modcast, Waveform Magazine, Modular Seattle, Modular on the Spot Seattle, and there was, COVID definitely like kind of put a ground us to a halt, but like it was like a palpable, like I've always wanted to be part of a scene. And, by the time this is all happening, I'm already in my mid-30s thinking I missed that opportunity. But no, it's just, I'm like in it, and I think, future historians writing about, electronic music and the history of it, like, I think Patchwerks will be a part of that story to say this is kind of the ground zero for, like, Seattle becoming, like, one of the places that I think people around the world would think of when they were thinking about, like, where can I go if I want to meet cool modular people and, like, find a scene, Like, maybe that's just because I was, in the hullabaloo of it all, but, like, I don't think it was just that. Like, I think Velocity, that's a pretty awesome events
awesome.
with some pretty amazing, like, big, big name performers coming through even, and like it was a legit like one day music festival kind, like, so I guess that's kind of what has been needling me as far as like the importance of like this staying a thing, like, and I know I'm not the only person who feels that,
Well, thanks, Tim. I mean, that means quite a lot. Especially coming from you. So we'd love to see your journey too throughout these, 6 years for you?
6 years, yeah. But we've all been propping each other up and and it's been, so thank you guys, like.
Yeah.
And for you to say it means a lot coming from me, that wouldn't be I don't think that would be a phrase that you'd say, like whatever this weight, whatever it is, like that I have, because I've been basically just not shutting up for for 6 years every week. But
I don't think you should diminish your role as a leader in the community, because you are on the mics every week, and you do bring in a lot of people who are part of the local community that we have, but you also bring in high-level people, like high-level modular musician people from around the world.
Oh, really?
Right? So.
Oh, yeah.
I mean.
Maybe off mic we can share those. Just kidding.
No, I'm just.
No,
I just. Don't diminish your role, because you do play a prominent role here.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and we've all of what you just said, at least, that was part of our thinking on, should we ask our community for help or not?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
It was a really difficult decision, but we decided to go for it. And, wow, I mean, over 400 people have helped us out already.
That's so cool.
Which is incredible.
Make it 401.
Yeah. So, yeah, thank you to everyone who's chipped in a little bit. Some people have chipped in a lot, and it's really so generous and awesome. We have so much gratitude for all of you. So that's much appreciated. And with your help, we can keep this thing going. It's going to be a little smaller, we won't have the big building for a while, but that's fine. It was never about the building.
Right.
It's never been about having a flashy showroom.
Mm-hmm.
It's been about people. It's been about access, getting people access to the instruments. It's been about connecting people with joy. I say that all the time, but that's really what it is.
Mm-hmm. And now here's where the Knobula chord pilot and polycinematic come into play. This thing is amazing. So right here, I think this is the first time it shows up. Let me see. Yeah, just kind of a little teaser here. So I'll play the whole thing. Let me start a little further back. Solo those. Here I used it in a really weird way. It kind of gives it a like an uneasy, unsettling feeling, because I think it actually is technically like not in the same key as everything else. I don't know. So let's hear that on its own. And then now we have this set of polycinematic stuff from Knobula. Put these. So these are actually, I'm just holding on a MIDI keyboard, just holding down the chords that I want, and it's the chord pilot is doing arpeggios. And then I use the Expert Sleepers ES9 not only to track all of this stuff, but also to send some CV from Bitwig out to the gate and trigger ins for the 2 Knobula modules. So obviously it would be in time. So. I just think this sounds so cool. And then here's some more Knobula stuff. Almost like a percussive-y kind of thing, because the polycinematic has a really awesome filter and envelope system on it, so you can get really cool percussive stuff like this. My favorite thing that I did with the polycinematic is right here, so let's lead up to this. And then some more percussive-y stuff. And now here is where the waves transformer from Earthquaker gets in. Like I said, I haven't really messed with it too much, so I just basically tuned it to be in key with what is happening, and then used the ES9 again to send some voltages out so I could control the Aikido. So this is, let's see, we got a couple different outputs from the wave transformer going into the Aikido here. So let's listen to that. It's a really thick, nice sounding oscillator. I think those could maybe be up a little bit. More of that percussion coming back. And then at the end, I like to end songs in a very weird way. So these are just some arpeggios that I had done with the polycinematic that I couldn't really fit into the rest of the song, but I liked them too much to not use them at all. So I do this kind of like fake out ending. And then also right here, these are all polycinematic. So yeah, I'm not going to go through every single piece of this, but I just wanted to show you how I was using all of these really, really cool modules. And I want to say, anybody out there who, wants to do multi-tracking with Eurorack, but, is intimidated by it or thinks it's like there's too much involved in making it happen, so you're just doing stereo stuff, the ES9 is absolutely amazing. And what's really cool is it just kind of like it's a plug and play thing. Once your DAW recognizes it as an interface, you can just send and receive to your heart's content within your DAW. So it's really, really, it's been just an absolutely amazing addition to my kit. And it just makes things a hell of a lot easier. So thank you to Knobula Earthquaker, Expert Sleepers, For a Mess, Bastel. And at the end of the episode, I'm going to play the track with a little video kind of showing the different modules and how they're reacting to the guitar. And I even got the data from Mordak's setup so you can see what the shaped dual envelope is doing, as well as the percussion interface and expander from 4MS. Just absolutely amazing modulation sources. So yeah, that's enough of that. I don't do drugs anymore. Don't do them any less either.
That's good. That's good. I like that. That's hilarious.
The doctor said I had a little bit of blood in my drug and alcohol system. Sorry, these are the things that you learn when you grow up in Roslyn, Washington.
That's awesome.
A little blood in my drug and alcohol system.
So let's talk about let's get into the nitty gritty of the GoFundMe. Like to whatever you're comfortable sharing.
Sure.
Like, what's the goal? How long does it run? Give me the whole rundown of the whole thing.
Sure. Where should we start?
How about the goal?
Sure.
First?
So we did. It started for us plotting out what do we need to be profitable. Mm-hmm. And that's a huge set of assumptions,
Right, yeah, and hopes and
assumptions, but you want to be, you don't want to put too much aspirational hope into a business projection.
Yeah.
So we try to estimate figures like, how much do we think we can sell if we had the right products in the warehouse per month? So that was one calculation we did. We're behind on paying, several of our suppliers. So another component to being healthy and profitable is to have current accounts with our suppliers as well. So, we looked at what we owed, and that was another component. And then, Cindy had done a lot of work on figuring out, just based on fixed costs. So in other words, how much does it cost to be in this building? What is the internet cost, and what is the electricity cost, all that. And the end result of that was approximately $250,000, and this detail is in our GoFundMe campaign if the listeners would like to read that. Yeah, but it's, now I'm going to forget the exact numbers, but a significant portion is paying those debts and making them current. That's both suppliers, and we're behind on a little bit to some of our consignors as well. We want to make them whole as soon as possible. And then the other part is restocking the shelves with not just what we had in the past, but what we believe the right products are for Patchwerks to carry and to sell into the future. So some of the problems that arose during the pandemic and the aftermath with, say, supply chain are things like shipping costs. When suppliers have certain shipping rules in their programs, and shipping goes up so much. Shipping went through the roof in the past couple of years. It modifies whether those products can be viable for us or not to sell.
Right. Yeah.
Sometimes they might not be, right? Even if they're products that we've had success with in the past. Just as an example, it costs a lot more to import goods from, say, Europe or China now. Yeah. Just because of the transport costs. So, yeah, what we did was we came up with this number, which we thought was the right number to operate here. And then, so GoFundMe puts they get their fees as well, right, for like credit card processing. So then we added what the fees would cost us, because we did the analysis and came up with $250K. And, GoFundMe's going to take theirs, and then so we just added those fees back on. So that's where that number comes from. At the same time, we have also talked about what happens if the campaign's not successful. What happens if we don't reach that goal? Then we have a set of choices. It kind of just depends on how successful it is, and what position we're in by then.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah, so that's a good place to start. Happy to, talk about any more detail if you'd like.
Yeah, and I know society's weird with our rules, and I know it can be gauche to talk about money, but I wanted to talk about that just so if somebody's listening and then they go to the GoFundMe, I could see a knee-jerk response being like, what the heck, like, how that much? But it's like, just the rent on this building is, I'm not going to ask what that is, but, there's, like you said, there's so many different costs, and then, keeping stuff on the shelf, like, there's so many factors that once you kind of wrap your head around what it would take for you guys to, like, keep on keeping on, that's not much, in the grand scheme. It's like, it's not much, but it's not it doesn't seem like it's not an unreasonable ask, I feel like.
Yeah, and we have actually been in the process of scaling back costs for over a year now. So we started about a year ago. We reduced the size of our staff, which was a really difficult thing for us. It was heartbreaking, honestly.
Yeah, because you guys, this is like a family. Like, you come in here and like...
Yeah.
But it was, we could see, like, so you kind of see where, we do a lot of data-driven decision-making here, right? Because that's really the best objective way. You're not just making decisions, based on a gut feeling. So, looking at the numbers and looking at not just our sales, but the way the market was going, we could see that things were contracting pretty significantly starting in the fall of 2022. So, we started scaling down our expenses about a year ago, and that's progressed through 2023. We had several waves of cuts to get us to where we are now. So right now we're actually operating with a pretty lean staff, and I think that this is the model for us going forward, is to maintain where we're at now, staffing wise for the time being, and just concentrate. So what happens is when you do execute a plan to scale back, sometimes there's a lag where you've got some large accounts that you're shrinking down the size. Your average order size to a supplier is going to be cut in half, or maybe even less, and so those accounts do take a while to get paid back under your newer, smaller, leaner model.
Right.
So I think that's really part of what got us to where we are, is the scaling back was in response to what was happening in both the local and the national economy. There's a bunch of other factors that have affected, our sales and our ability to do business here in Seattle. But yeah, it just takes time to get, so there's a little hump we have to get over.
Yeah.
And once we
like
get over that hump.
You can't make these decisions and then they automatically make it better.
It just takes a little bit of capital and a little bit of time to move from being a larger operation to being one that's a little bit smaller and leaner. So, that's kind of where we're at right now, is we've set everything up internally to be able to continue operating. We would still like to move to a smaller building, so that's one piece that we're still working on executing right now. But otherwise, the actual operation that we have in this space is in a place where we can, if we can maintain that, we could at least be breaking even, be profitable again.
That's I'm very happy to hear that, because I hadn't even thought it, like, obviously you guys have thought about this from all the angles and stuff, and it doesn't occur to you, but like, if you're not on the inside of it, but that's pretty relieving for me, just personally, being like, okay, they just gotta make it through this, and even if they can't find a new place, like, because I think also just operating on, like, how, like, basically how many people are spending their money still on stuff like this within our American economy.
Yeah, well, the interesting thing is a lot of the consumer sentiment hasn't eroded that much when you look at the macro numbers. And, that's surprising to us, just based on what we see with our business. But, certainly comparing notes with many of our suppliers, other people in the industry, it may not be visible to the, average modular synth consumer, but there's a lot of pain going around, and it's not just Patchwerks. We happen to be the most visible right now based on our situation. But yeah, I also wanted to share that, we've made mistakes over the past few years, and part of the situation we're in now is working through those mistakes, learning from them, and correcting them. And I'll just share a couple of examples so that everyone knows. So, for example, when we expanded into this room, this showroom, this is probably literally 10 times as much space as we had in the showroom, maybe even more.
Yeah, I think more.
So we wanted to expand the range of products that we carry. So we brought on several new brands, and we started to bring on different categories of products that we hadn't carried before. So good examples of that are like the high-end workstation keyboards, like your Yamaha Montage, Roland Phantom. We carried keyboard amplifiers for a short minute. We tried the Roland Keytar. So, these were products that were not in our wheelhouse, right? They're products that very few staff members owned and were interested in. We couldn't really represent the products well, even though those products sell really well for those manufacturers. Some of those products are their most lucrative products in their product line, but they didn't work for Patchwerks, and so what that meant was, we had to sell them at pretty steep discounts that in many cases, probably not most, but many cases we sold at a loss, right? So that's never good for your business. No. But we just had to learn the lesson and say, you know what, this isn't right for us anymore. So that's one example of kind of mistakes that we've made.
That's like a pretty forgivable mistake, because that's like a very intuitive decision. We have more space. Let's branch out to just modular, and let's get less niche with this. So that sucks that kind of thinking is now labeled as a mistake, because it was just how it happened to turn out, but sounds like it was like a well thought out.
Well, in hindsight, we would have done something different.
Right, yeah.
Modular's always been our bread and butter, modular and boutique sense, so we could have spent that money bringing in just more modules, right?
Yeah.
So that's one example. Another one has to do with our finances. So, we were gearing up for Christmas. I think it was 2021, if I remember correctly. And we were limited by the capital we had. So, we had the opportunity to take a loan from one of our providers. And, we took way too much. The interest rate was way too high. It was really risky for us. We didn't realize it at the time how risky it would be, because we had more confidence that some of those product categories, like the workstations, would sell pretty well for us when they just didn't. Yeah. So instead of, maybe breaking even on those products, well, actually we used the capital that has interest on top of it to go buy those products. So, we weren't retail gurus before we started Patchwerks.
Yeah.
I'd worked at a pizza store before, but that's about it. So, So we have learned from those issues, mistakes, but we're still digging out from that. We did manage to pay off that big loan.
Oh,
thank
good.
God.
Yeah.
So, we're well poised if we can, make it through this difficult time. But yeah, I just wanted everybody out there to know that we don't think that we did everything correctly, and it's just happenstance that we happen to be here. It, was the result of decisions that we made in addition to, the kind of economic conditions of our country.
So much stuff thrown into the blender. And I think also, just speaking to the time that I was talking about, of this surge and this community forming here, that's a pretty exciting, that puts you in an excited mindset. I think everybody was feeling this in their own way, with Ellison, he's still putting out a print magazine.
Yeah.
That's
awesome.
Pretty
it is
crazy.
Awesome.
But I can say from my experience that, going through COVID, And with that extra money and the extra time and everything, it was like the best time for me financially as far as doing this and everything. Like,
Right.
And I was like, oh, I think I'm going to be able to do this. And then real, like, I wouldn't say a hairpin turn, but like that just started. And then, you know, I got to the end of, you know, just this last year, and still I'm kind of in this, like, still figuring it out, but like I might have to, you know, go back into like the 40-hour week work. And I know I started this show while I was working like that. I've tasted it though. I've tasted the freedom, and I just don't, I could not, this show wouldn't be what the, like, I couldn't do it weekly with video and all of this, and I don't know if I want to do it if I have to step back and like downsize it, you know? So yeah. I feel like, I guess I'm just trying to like be empathetic, like sure, yeah, everybody makes mistakes and everything, but there was definitely like this, hey, something's happening. Like this is like, it was like like we were gaining momentum, all of us and everything. So I think like, put it into that context too, you'd be a little easier on yourself on it. Like,
oh well, thanks. You know, I don't think we beat each other. We don't beat each other up, but we don't beat ourselves up either over it. Well, that came out wrong.
But yeah, no, I know. But I guess I wasn't getting that from you, but I just wanted to say that because I know that throughout this whole thing, I'm sure you've had those. You can get into those mindsets sometime, and you can start being like, what the fuck did I do? Like, you know, and like kind of like be a little meaner to yourself than you would to your friend who if made the same decision, you wouldn't be that mean to or whatever, you know. So,
yeah, I mean, I feel like I feel like that's where, you know, I really like to rely on the numbers, and I'm like a very data-oriented person in my decision making, and so I can go back and look and see exactly how these, you know, how did we make these decisions? There's spreadsheets behind every decision that we've made, and you know, there were just some factors we couldn't have predicted. Like, we never could have predicted that, you know, a few months after moving in here, somebody would back a car through our doors and run off with a bunch of, you know, workstations or whatever, you know. I mean, there are things that's like,
I didn't realize I knew somebody had broke in. I didn't realize they backed a car in here.
Yeah, they backed a car in, broke the aluminum and glass doors enough for them to have enough clearance to open a hatchback, and just, you know, mad spree to like get whatever you can, put it in the car and take off. And it happened all in 1 minute.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Before the alarm even went off.
Did they catch him?
No.
They knew who they are.
Wow.
The police knows who they are, but they are not catching them for some reason. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, property crime is just rampant in probably every American city. This is not a problem unique to Seattle.
The last few weeks.
You know,
have you guys?
Right?
Oh yeah, you
yes,
had a car into your house. Oh, that's so horrible.
It's been an eventful month for
Tim.
you.
That was wild. Yeah.
Yes.
That happened to me once, actually. A dump truck crashed into my apartment, and it happened to be the place where I would sit and watch TV. And, you know, I had like my bicycle there and my sofa and, you know, all the TV stuff. Thank God I wasn't there at the time. But it crashed directly in, like the wall had a big hole in it.
Oh my
right?
God.
And I got this call from my landlord. He said, Tom, I think you need to come home.
Oh my God.
Well,
that was
come
something.
to what was your home.
Yeah, no one was hurt. Well, no one was hurt in the accident, but the bicycle was.
Yeah, same with mine. No one was hurt.
Yeah,
So that's good.
But, yeah.
Well, that's good.
I found I was cleaning up after the car had gotten taken away and everything. I was just demolished a bunch of our plants and cleaning up, and then I pulled out a full headlight. So the headlight is now on display in our house. And then the other day I was out and I found like a Volvo. It's just a small hubcap. So it's like the part that just goes over the lug nuts. So I zip tied that to my my drum set with my octopus
Nice.
on it. So
Cool.
it's a Volvo brand electronic drum set.
Years from now,
That's
you're still
great.
going to be digging up random
I
car
know.
parts.
I found
for your
another
garden.
piece the other day on the road. It's just it's wild.
Yeah.
Sorry, I
It's
totally
pretty
derailed
crazy.
your,
So yeah, the state of things was, I believe, where we were headed with that. That there are challenges that our spreadsheets could not have ever predicted. In fact, just before Christmas, we had another incident where someone tried to break in our front doors, cored out the cylinder of our deadbolt lock, and smashed our glass doors. So it takes a toll, right?
Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
financial toll. It's a morale toll. It is, it's hard on the staff. It's hard on us. It's hard on the customers to come and see. We did the best we could. We gift wrapped the broken glass door with a big
Oh, I
bow.
remember that. Yeah, that was cute. That was well done.
You do what needs to be done in order to carry on, with the day and make the best of it, right? And try to not let incidents like that bring you down.
Yeah.
And we're lucky to have such a wonderful staff, and everybody was just jumped into action. And in any time we've had an incident like that happen, everybody has just jumped right in to help and tried to make the best of it, and we've supported each other. But it's definitely something you don't plan for, you can't plan for.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of challenges like that make having a retail business in any big city right now very challenging.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and actually now I'm thinking like my whole Tacoma suggestion. Yeah, probably not going to be much, probably a little more dangerous than Wallingford, but.
well, I don't know. I mean, this neighborhood used to be really safe.
You'd be
and
surprised.
now, I don't think there is such a thing as a safe neighborhood
Yeah.
anymore. In fact, even Duval, where I live, there's been a huge increase in bank robberies, crime,
Really?
cars being stolen.
Well, that also shows you
know?
the state of our economy. When stuff like that goes up, it's not
Yeah.
because everybody's out there like, hey, you know what? I feel like I want to be a bad person now. And I just hate the way that our media machine kind of like not to say that the people that are stealing stuff are innocent but it's a symptom of a different problem, right? You could say, oh, it's the moral fiber of our society.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a long subject, but yeah, I mean, I know that Seattle is one of the top cities with a fentanyl problem. There's a lot of people hurting out there, and we just really feel for them.
Yeah.
It'd be great if they didn't steal from Patchwerks. But,
Right, yeah. I haven't shared this story publicly, but you just brought it up, and I just want to tell you guys this story. It's pretty fucking crazy, but I was going for a walk in my neighborhood. I bring my camera, and I like to just practice, so I pretty much shoot the same areas all the time, and one of the areas I like to film is there's this park by my house that has there's a dog park, and then it goes into this wooded area with a creek, and then the main park's up on the hill. And so I always like to walk through that area and film the creek and stuff. And I was walking up, and there's this big boulder by the creek, and there was a person laying there in a way that didn't look like somebody would be laying there. I was like, that person's dead, I think. And I walked up, he kept my distance, and was like, hey, you okay? And nothing. And I was like, all right, well, I coughed, and I threw a rock over into the creek just to arouse the waking up thing.
Right.
And then I was like, I'll walk up here, and then I'll come back. And I came back, hadn't moved, and then I'm yelling. So yeah, I called the police, and the fire department came, and yeah.
Oh, no.
And when the fireman when he confirmed he was dead, it was like, yeah, he has fentanyl in his hand.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and it was just it was a couple days, a week before Christmas or something, and
Oh, I'm sorry you saw that.
didn't see his face, so
Yeah.
I think that kept me a little safer as far as messing with me, but it messed with me in more of and still is in a kind of more of a front brain sort of way, not as much like emotionally, like there's a little bit of that, but more just like, it just sucks that what's happening in our world or whatever, like lead like that. And I have a real problem with people, you know, people I know, my family, friends, you know, who have zero empathy for people who are experiencing like this drug addiction and like houselessness, homelessness, whatever you want to call it, like.
Yeah, I used to volunteer down at the Compass Center here in Seattle, and they had a program called Operation Sack Lunch, where, you know, at the center we would, you know, cook up whatever dishes that from, you know, food that they had in the pantry, and yeah, we'd go down under the I-5 overpass in downtown. Those of you not in Seattle, in Seattle we have this I-5 freeway that's elevated, but under the freeway it's dark and kind of, you know, stuff goes down there, you know. But yeah, we would hand out these lunches, and everybody was just like really gracious about it, and that was really the first time I myself did something to help with that problem. And yeah, I mean, I don't know what the answer is. There are a lot of smart people, smarter than me, thinking about it, but I think what I'd like to say is that, yeah, we need to have empathy, and, you know, I don't think this will solve the homeless problem, but if, you know, when we start to feel like the world is a difficult place, what's better than music? Yeah. What's better than music? What's better than
community? Like
than community. Yeah. So what's better than like either getting together with some friends and plugging in some synthesizers, or going to a show, listening to records. You know, music has always been a social thing that humans do. You know, I know it's possible, obviously now we can all do it alone in our bedrooms if we want.
It's not the same.
But no, it's not the same. So, yeah, I mean, music is a great way to connect when things are bad.
I totally agree. I think that was, yeah, I felt myself like, this is not what we need to be talking about on Patchwerks Podcast, but good save. Thank you.
Well, these issues do affect all of us, though, in our day-to-day lives, and I think, yeah, it has affected us here in a way that I hadn't expected, you know, so, yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, so listen, make the world a better place and help keep Patchwerks in business. Sorry, I never do them in person like this, and the few times I have, I just can't help but like I really want to do like little like look through the. All right, well we're closing in on an hour, and it's Sunday night, and I know you gotta drive home still to Duval, so I don't want to keep you too long.
No problem.
But I want to mention to the listener that these two fine people that I'm sitting with are not only amazing creators of this hub of our community, but also amazing musicians. Have you guys been playing music lately? Have you been making music lately, or?
I did a bunch of shows in the summer and the fall, so I did play at KnobCon this year, which was so much fun. So yeah, I did an ambient set at KnobCon. For the first time.
If I've ever heard you do ambient before. I mean,
yeah, I do kind of both.
Line,
I sometimes do ambient, sometimes do more techno type stuff. So, yeah, and I'm starting a new project with an old friend of ours, Mike Perkowitz, who I played music with for many, many, many years.
That name sounds familiar to me.
So we are kind of getting that kick-started right now, just and initially... getting some ideas together. So yeah, I hope to do some shows this year.
Nice.
Yeah, there's a few things in the works. So.
Hell yeah, I'm excited about that. Are you still doing Orchid at all, or was that like a one-off kind of like art project, or?
No, I'm still doing it. Not as much lately, but I do have an Orchid EP that's ready for release. It's called Secret Lover.
Okay.
And it's a little bit of vocals. It's a little more in the synth pop world than my last one, so there's still some weird electronic sounds on there, but I don't have a release date on it yet, but I'm tired of sitting on it, so it needs to get out there this year. So that'll come out sometime this year, and I'm ready for a new project myself. I actually need to do some studio debugging because there's this weird hum noise that it kind of cropped up that I need to get rid of. But I'm excited to get back in there and start playing. Lately, I've just been like playing piano, just kind of keeping my chops, and it's just fun to go down and to my basement studio.
You've got
just
an
play.
awesome studio.
Oh, thanks, Tim.
I like your studio a lot.
Yeah, it's a nice little room.
It looks like a little showroom kind of, because you got like all the stuff like you have
On
a
the
really
walls.
cool setup. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
Cool. Well, anything you want to shout from the Modular Mountaintops before we sign off?
I just want to thank everybody for all of your support. And, it isn't just about the GoFundMe. There are other ways that people can help Patchwerks. So one way would be, we've moved our events program to largely volunteer run at this point because we have this beautiful space and, we want to be able to continue to use it. So I'm organizing all the events for the shop currently, and I'm looking if anyone's interested in doing a workshop here. We are booking, workshops for all the way through the spring and into the summer at this point. Every Saturday, we're hoping to have some type of live performance workshop or a class going on in the event space. Our showroom is currently open Saturdays 1 p.m. to 6 p.m.
Okay.
Otherwise, by appointment. But Saturdays are just big party day here at the shop. So we decided to just take Saturdays and have that be the day. If you've got consignment gear you want to bring in or you want to just come down and hang out with people, that's the day. And so that's going to be our big focus day. So yeah, anyone who wants to help out with events, just get in touch with me via email or social media. You can also just email events@patchwerks.com. That'll get to me. Otherwise, everyone's been just incredibly supportive, and I can't tell you how many people have come up to me at events recently and just been filled with gratitude for everything we've done, and it works both ways. We're, very, very thankful to everyone in the community for all of the help that we've received in terms of people's volunteer time, their support, bringing in gear to consign or buying gear, donating to the GoFundMe. I mean, there are lots of different ways people can help. So, we're really hoping that we can, just get over this hump and then get back into a steady state and just keep on rolling. So that's the plan.
Perfect.
Yeah, I'll just also echo Cindy's words of thanks and gratitude. We can't. This place would not exist without our customers, our staff, people like you, Tim. So thank you to everyone who's been a customer, like a volunteer, played music here. It's awesome. And I don't have any other big words. I could try to come up with a big one, but just again, thank you to everyone who's been ambidextrous. No, we really appreciate everyone, so thank you so much for supporting Patchwerks.
Well, thank you guys for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tim.
Appreciate it. All right, that's our show. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you to Tom and Cindy for coming on the show. If you can, please go visit the GoFundMe for Patchwerks and help out. It's, as you heard over the last hour or so, it's a very important place for many people. I also want to say thank you to all the sponsors this week: Expert Sleepers, Knobula, Signal Sounds, After Later Audio, 4MS, and of course Patchwerk. And also thank you to Bastel for sending me out that new Neo Trinity. I can't wait to figure that thing out. And to Earthquaker Devices for sending me out the Wave Transformer. I barely even scratched the surface with that thing, but why don't I show you what I have done with it and what I've done with all of the modules that I was talking about in the intro. And that's how we'll end the episode this week. So I hope you enjoyed this really rough demo of this song that I'm working on. This week's secret word is linoleum. Until next week.